México, la tierra del encanto, la tierra del progreso, Santa Fe, su capital. Con su fiesta que reina la concordia, quemándose a Zozobra, fiesta tan tradicional.
Basically, knowing the history of it, it's just the resettlement of Santa Fe by the Spaniards.
The religious aspect is what Fiesta is all about.
Tan bellas y preciosas como mil mariposas, mariposas en verdad.
Fiesta is a day of enjoyment and remembering what it stands for, and a day of gathering together different tribes.
Sus vestidos de fiesta, sus encantos, sus risas, sus ojazos que alegran el corazón.
Well, Fiesta celebrates the peaceful resettlement of 1692 by Don Diego de Vargas and his men when they traveled here from El Paso del Norte to take possession of the Villa of Santa Fe.
It keeps evolving and changing, kind of like Mardi Gras.
An incredible event, a history that no other city in the United States can ever think about having.
Today we gather in festive garb, and hopefully we come together with a joyful heart, because this initiates our 278th Santa Fe Fiesta, the crowning of our Fiesta Queen and her princesses, the knighting of Don Diego de Vargas, the recognition of his staff. Marcos Andres Tapia, accept this sword and receive this mantle.
My name is Marcos Andres Tapia. I work now for the New Mexico Game and Fish Department. I'm from Santa Fe originally. I've been away for the last 10 plus years, college and the Army. My heritage is deep in Spanish traditions and stuff.
But like I told you since you were a baby, these things are bad words in your family. No wonder the dogs don't want to be here anymore.
The one who got me involved to run first was my mother.
That's good.
When I was in the Army and the places I was at, it was very lonely. But and I got a little down. Mom would send me these tapes, and there would be Spanish music, mariachi music, which you only hear during fiesta time.
The minute that you hear those mariachis, oh, right away, and then you see the conquistadora, and your religion comes out, and then you start thinking about your ancestors, of what they went through to make what it is today.
We keep alive Don Diego de Vargas' commitment that he made to La Nuestra Señora de Rosario, La Conquistadora, who is another name for the Mother of God. If he would have a bloodless conquest, that he would hold the yearly fiesta in her honor. La Conquista meant to unify, and he gave the Indians and the Spanish people an opportunity to be brothers.
My name is Janice Tenario. I'm from the Pueblo of San Domingo, and I'm half Navajo from the reservation of Tuba City. And I'm 21 years old, and I'm involved with the Santa Fe Fiesta as one of the Indian princes.
I hereby place this crown and declare you Janice Marie Tenorio, Royal Indian Princess of the night.
One of the Fiesta Council members came to our work at, and he asked me if he asked me who I was, and if I was Janice Tenario, and if I was interested in being in the Santa Fe Fiesta. And so I told him that I would,
And then I was glad when Janice was chosen to be one of the princesses. I went ahead and said, go ahead, might as well get involved because you need to represent your tribe here. And we were just glad about what she's doing. And we're still proud, all the kids are proud of her, what she's up to. And that shows more that she will get experience in the outside world, seeing more people of different tribes and different nationality, you know. So we are glad and we are happy for her. All of us are behind her.
I just wish some of the other Pueblos would get together and do this too, just participate in different things. That way we can get along a lot better instead of all this fighting and just have peace.
I don't know of any other city or any place in America who really puts on a show like this. I don't know any other 40-foot puppet that someone dances in front of. I just think it's kind of cool. Zozobra and the fire dancer are just, one big show each year. I will be doing the fire dance with my father this year. And the part of the fire dancer really is to get the crowd excited, to build up the energy, and to eventually light them, set the whole thing off.
The family involvement really didn't start happening until about 3 years ago. And I just wanted to go ahead and have my family participate more. I think the thrill for Donica is pretty much for her own self-esteem and her own excellence.
Finally, we start. We are beginning. Fiesta is kind of like a birthday, I think, for me personally, and hopefully my family. I think they'll feel pretty strongly about it. It's just always something to look forward to. It's kind of your thing you're doing, and it's just, I don't know, it's like your birthday all over again, twice a year. It's just kind of neat. Well, now it's falling off. It's just my hair, it like slips on the back of my head.
He said this is their first time, this is their first official appearance, and he wants to make it memorable. He's doing a head table.
In my cuadrilla, I have a 16-man complement who is my staff, my cuadrilla. I have friends that have played high school football, and we're on a championship team with me on the cuadrilla. I also have my best friend, and I asked him to bring 2 friends that he would like in it. He brought Randy and Mike, and we've become really good friends.
At Sweeney Center at 7 o'clock for Fiesta Cita. And gentlemen, it's my understanding that anyone who goes to Fiesta...
And we also have like Ed Berry, who's not a native Santa Fean, but he should be. I mean, he has done so much for the De Vargas staff that it's incredible.
To my knowledge, of the 278 years, I am the first Anglo, non-Catholic, non-Hispanic to chair the committee. After living in Santa Fe when I moved here in '77, there was just something that sort of propelled me civically toward the keeping of the Hispanic tradition.
It's, I believe, important for an Anglo living in Santa Fe to, in one way or the other, in my way it was by being on the staff of Don Diego de Vargas, but in one way or the other, try to involve themselves in the Spanish community.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
A lot of Anglo people think that the Fiesta is just for the Spanish people. I had a lady ask me today, when she found out I was in the Fiesta Council, if I was there because my wife is Hispanic. She had this image that the Fiesta Council was primarily made up of Hispanic people. It's a cross-cultural group of people in the community that see the importance of the Fiesta and enjoy it. and want to work to carry it on and continue it.
We have a young Indian group that's going to be here to dance for the Mass Fiesta on Sunday morning. Okay?
This year, for the first time in many, many years, we do have an Indian from Santo Domingo, Pueblo, who is portraying the role of the governor of Cacique, Randy Comatobia. Or Santo La Paz, excuse me, thank you, God. Santo La Paz. Don't call him an Indian, call him the governor.
I portray Cacique Domingo, Gobernador de Cacique, who's the Indian governor of Cacique, and basically his portrayal as far as the Entrada is concerned is that of what I would consider the peacemaker. I haven't really looked at it. I'm basically doing it for fun.
Unarmed and unprotected, he enters the villa. Okay, the narration, the action. Chief Domingo has left the city gates and walks back to the Indians at the Palacio. The Vargas proceeds to get ready to enter the villa.
Well, Fiesta celebrates the bloodless reconquest of Santa Fe by Don Diego de Vargas or by the Spaniards under the crown of Spain in 1692. Being that we had been here before, but in 1680, when the Pueblo Revolt took place, the Spaniards were driven back to El Paso del Norte and El Paso, and they were there for 12 years. And they sent back General Don Diego de Vargas, who marched up from El Paso to Santa Fe and resettled this land in 1692 in a very peaceful manner.
At this point, gentlemen, let's really practice on our hand movements and our gestures.
The Entrada is really a reenactment of the original Entrada of 1692.
They think you are getting ready to fight, that there will be war and much killing. After the great war of many...
As a matter of fact, I wasn't even aware that I was one of the few Indians that has participated in the past couple of decades. So I thought that was interesting.
As you know, Indian people do not write their history in books. And when we went through school, we learned very little about New Mexico history. And in fact, I never heard about the Pueblo Revolt until after I got out of college. And so with that kind of a background, we did not really know what was being celebrated during Santa Fe Fiesta. To me, it was a great big community fiesta with a lot of entertainment and parades and friends getting together. And so as far as the Pueblo people, there was very little history about why we were celebrating the Santa Fe Fiesta.
If I stopped to take a hard look at the reason why it's being celebrated, I probably wouldn't have done it.
Well, Santa Fe is a city of three cultures, and you had the representation of the Indian, you had the representation of the Spanish. There was not a lot of representation of the Anglo, and the gringo needed to have some kind of say in the whole operation. And a very well-known artist and wonderful, wonderful gentleman, Will Schuster, even wrote about that in some of his works, and it was written about him in his book, how he wanted all three cultures to participate in the Santa Fe Fiesta. And so he thought that the little effigy of Zozobra, which translates into gloom, that we could go ahead and do a burning, and it is a fiesta, it's a Viva la Fiesta, long live celebration, long live life itself, and celebrating by getting rid of our sorrows and our woes and our glooms, and get on with the rest of our lives.
We added 10 extra feet to it.
And we go on to the plaza on Fiesta, the first afternoon of Fiesta, and eat the food and listen to the mariachis. But other than that, we're pretty much involved just with Zozobra.
stretching it out.
We gotta find on the shoulder bike.
Zozobra has only been in existence since 1926. The idea originated by an artist named Will Schuster. He was in Mexico sometime before that and saw a similar activity taking place down there, where they built an effigy and burned it to rid themselves of their sorrows and so forth. And so he came up with the idea of this effigy symbolizing gloom and sorrow and troubles. And the editor of the New Mexican at that time, a gentleman by the name of E. Dana Johnson, coined the name Zozobra, which is somewhat Spanish for gloom and sorrow and that kind of thing.
Oh, Zozobra? Well, we roll him up, the whole bottom part, because it's chicken wire. And the paper, you just roll it up and then they store it away and then they move it to, what's that place called? Fort Marcy. Fort Marcy.
They'll be doing it in Manhattan. Put it on this side.
Zozobra's a great party for the most part, and first and foremost, since its inception, has been the Anglo contribution to fiestas. In many ways led to a distortion and a contamination of the truer sense of what fiestas were about, which were primarily religious. It had more to do with ceremonies in a church than it did to burning old man gloom. But the distortion comes in a lack of respect for the previous history. Zozobra now is on display in pictures of it in a museum in London, I'm told. And under that picture in this museum display, it says, based on an ancient Aztec ritual. And that, if that isn't a distortion, the worst to say about that is that's a form of psychological genocide against my children and against the true history that's out there.
I think Fiesta is actually like one big play, in a way. It's, you know, reenacting the Hispanics coming in, taking over the land. It's kind of sad in a way, so I've always had mixed feelings about that part. I'm glad to be more of a part of Zozobra because it doesn't have anything to do with it.
Right now, I'd like to introduce the 1990 Cuadrilla.
Janice she's a very vibrant young lady. She projects her Indian culture very much. When they were appointed, Mariano spoke to the parents, I think, and intensively, and he told them what it entailed.
We used to have a contest. Matter of fact, the last contest we ever had for the Indian girls was 8 years ago when my daughter was on the royal court. We had about 5 or 6 Indian girls that were running for 2 positions. We only had 2 positions back in those days. So now, you know, when we get volunteers, we just appoint them because not too many are that interested in participating, so we really can't have a contest because of it.
You know, it's always an honor to be an Indian princess, no matter what event you're looking at. And so I think the young girls that are participating see it in that light, where it's an honor to be part of a important historical event. And I think if they were to know the true reason why Santa Fe Fiesta is being celebrated, they probably would not participate.
When I was going to school, I was around with a lot of Spanish people and stuff, but we didn't really get this close. About the only thing I went to was the burning of Zozobra. That was the only thing I ever went to. But other than that, I didn't know what was behind the fiestas and with the de Vargas and the queen and her court. I didn't know anything about that.
Fiesta is such a big deal in Santa Fe and is part of the whole city's culture. So it's celebrated every year. The kids, we do 2 weeks of lessons into it. And so this is the culmination of the whole thing. They get to really see and be involved with the people. You want to grow up and be Don Diego? Oh, you want to grow up and be a Don Diego? Yeah.
I really don't know the opinion of the Indian people about the Reconquest and Don Diego de Vargas. I have really never spoken to them intensely as to how they feel of how we project Don Diego de Vargas. You know what I mean? Maybe we could do something there to remedy it. Maybe that's where the friction lies.
The Indian has no reason to celebrate the fiestas. You know, the local people are celebrating the so-called bloodless reconquest of the Indian. Now, I mean, Americans don't celebrate Pearl Harbor Day. Indians don't celebrate Fiesta.
I feel very honored to be the person asked to present our speaker this evening, an associate professor of history and editor of the Vargas Project at UNM. Dr. John Kessel's special interest is New Mexico and the Southwest.
If I had to give this little history sermon a title, I think I'd call it, What Bloodless Reconquest? Don Diego did not want bloody confrontations. He always preferred peace, but only on his terms. He did not want battle, but honorable Spaniard that he was, he stood ready to fight to have his way, and the Pueblos knew it. Conquest is like that. Yet in 1692, the Pueblos complied, and Vargas did not have to resort to arms. The real reconquest began in 1693 with the ill-starred expedition of colonists who intended to stay. At their head, Governor Vargas, impatient and overconfident, reappeared before Santa Fe in the biting, gusty cold of December. Despite his best efforts, negotiations broke down. Retreat was out of the question. So, with the timely aid of 140 armed Pecos Indian allies, he assaulted the place, and the snow ran red with blood. After the battle, he ordered 70 Pueblo Indians executed. By implying during Fiesta that the Spanish reconquest of New Mexico was bloodless, we not only distort the past, but we also deny the dignity and humanness, good and bad, of New Mexico's Hispanos and Indians who fought, endured, and learned to live together in this beautiful and unforgiving land of little rain.
When the Spaniards returned, they did not come back this time as conquistadores. I believe they came back as colonizers. They came back to settle, to be part of this land. I think that 1692 and Nuestra Señora la Conquistadora represents not an act of conquest, but an act of reconciliation. They came back differently with a different attitude, coming back seeking peace. It was not a question of ownership to the land or of the land. It was a question of relationship. And today, that very situation of land is what brings us into conflict with the newest of arrivals, with the newest conquistadores, because they do come to conquer. They come to conquer our way of life. They come to conquer the land. They come to make a profit.
We begin this fiesta then with an act of prayer. We unite together as people of goodwill, regardless of the background of our faith tradition. Let us offer our prayer as one people, asking God's blessings upon our fiesta celebration, which is a celebration of our life in the Spirit and our lives as neighbors.
We celebrate the Vargas and his coming back into the land of enchantment. Not so much conquering the Indian people, because there was bloodshed on both sides. Our generation cannot change what our forefathers have done. However, we can try to live up to some of those special ideas that were started way back then. We need to unify. We need to come together again.
Bienvenidos. Welcome to a wonderful weekend. You are celebrating the 278th Fiesta, the oldest continuous community celebration in the United States. You are now standing in front of a building which has been under 5 flags: Spanish, Mexican, Confederate, Union, and the good old US of A. You visitors are standing among the finest people that have ever been a part of a community, and that's our local Santa Feans, the people who we want to have enjoy this fiesta. Viva la fiesta!
So you could look like a charro, and you have your hat backwards, babe. Our priest, that's part of Santa Fe. Everything on the float's part of Santa Fe. I have a nun. I have a Franciscan somewhere back there. And I have a charro. Oh, we have 2 Indians. And Don Diego de Vargas. Yeah. Oh, and a cowboy, of course. Can't forget the cowboys. I hope a lot of Hispanic people that live in Santa Fe, a lot of native Santa Feans, can see what we're doing, and maybe they'll participate and they'll want to do it, at least for their kids, if not for themselves.
For me personally, I feel the biggest impact on that day, on the Friday. It's always the second Friday in September now. Because, well, that's the night for me. That's the night for my family.
Let's go.
Nick gotta get all the stuff in.
Okay. I was really too young, you know, most of my life to really know what was going on. I just knew my father did this and I watched him. And I was a little frightened, but I thought it was neat. It's old man gloom, Zozobra, you know? We're just burning off all the gloom. And that's what I'm feeling when I'm up there. I'm just getting rid of it. I'm saying, hey, you know, we can let go of all our fears. Let go of everything bad that's happened. Let's start the new year. Let's get into that and not worry about everything bad that happened. Things can only get better.
Mariachi, that's about 3 hours. I go to the funny farm. But see, what I asked for, they won't give to me, is the Juilliard String Quartet. Thank you.
She did super, huh?
She did super.
You were great. I could use that.
You've been in Impala for 6 years?
Let's see how we're doing.
How you guys doing? This is my nephew, Clifford, the son. How you doing today? Yeah, likewise. Looks like everybody else looks pretty much savage, more savage than me. It wasn't Pueblo. I mean, Pueblo was basically this attire. You know, the plain shirts maybe a little more plain than this, and it's more colorful, but you know. And I even talked to one of my aunts who was one of the old. And she even gave me a couple of hints on the attire. So it was a little weird.
Marco, what's cheese?
Gotta be you, I don't know.
Full of smoke. Hey, Governor.
If Randy doesn't get mad, I'll tell you guys Indian jokes on stage.
Is
Wait
he
a minute.
here?
Yeah.
Where's he at? Tell me, come here. Randy. He asked me if you want to wear the ticket.
Hey, we're going to the United States.
I don't think it's
This one's not here the top. It's this one over there.
Good to hear this.
I need a bigger than
Honestly, no.
Okay.
The Vargas' plans for a peaceful resettlement are shaky at best. There is still the possibility of a battle. The Vargas has sent a couple of his people to come and escort Chief Domingo so that he can talk with him. The question now is, will there be peace or will there be bloodshed? For the Indians know what fate they face if they are not fully prepared to meet these returning Spaniards.
Listen, Chief Domingo, to my words of peace.
Don Diego de Vargas, your coming is great surprise. My people do not know the meaning of all this. They think you are getting ready to fight, that there will be war and much killing.
Perhaps the time has come to prove that I come as a friend and not as an enemy. Go back and carry this special message. I will take off my helmet and unbuckle my sword and remove my armor. Thus unprotected, I will try to show your people how sincere I am in this serious matter.
It was really bad. It was really bad. I think all of us were just so upset with the Caballeros de Vargas that they would let something like this happen, especially the dress of the Indians was a joke. It was a joke.
I guess the way we saw it too, because that wasn't the way we dressed and that wasn't the way we acted, and it's just totally different.
And Randy, I asked him to forgive me for doing it. It upset everybody in the Cuadrilla. We felt ashamed to be Spanish. That's what it came down to.
You have just seen reenacted the dramatic and transcendental re-entry of the immortal hero, the peaceful reconquistador Don Diego de Vargas. This heroic...
I thought it went well. I couldn't see it completely, but I thought that it went very well. Probably better than some of the things we've done in the past. Yeah.
Well, the Hispanics have their share. Everybody watches TV, and you're stereotyped. And I think a lot of the people who actually don't go see us or talk to us or know us have a tendency of believing everything they see on TV, which is a shame.
I haven't attended an Entrada in a few years. I personally was very upset. I felt that they were degrading the Indian people. Randy, our Indian man, was very upset, and our young ladies were. I spoke to Mariano Chavez on this, and I suggested that maybe he get together with Caballeros de Vargas and see what they can do to remedy it. It's just the way they were dressed. Our Indian people don't dress in gunny sacks. I'm sorry. They don't paint themselves like that. And I was very upset, and so were the Indian girls, and so was Randy. But Randy was a bitter man.
Some of the criticisms have come from the Indian community, and I think rightly so. I think any time that you celebrate the conquest of another people's, where those peoples are present, I think it tends to have not a very pleasant effect and sort of an ill effect. And some of those criticisms have come from the Indian community, and we sympathize with that, but we can't change history.
The local community is under attack. Our traditions, our culture, and unfortunately the bad part about that is sometimes we hold on to negative distortions of what our history is. Let's reconcile that. Let's clear that up. And we can continue a celebration, a fiesta. I want to see it not just reach 300 years, I want to see it reach 600 years. But have it historically accurate. Have it be that annual reconciliation that we must always do with ourselves and with our families and with our neighbors.
Let us all thank God for a beautiful 1990 Santa Fe Fiesta. It has been a blessing to all of us. I pray that it has been a blessing to our community. May we continue to embrace each other and reach out and support one another.
Buenas noches. Buenas noches.
No matter where I am, whether I'm touring with a band or off to college somewhere, you know, I will do my absolute best to always be back for this. I've got to be here. It's something personal, it's something with my family, and it's a whole community activity.
I guess it really is up to us, because what's in the past is in the past. But now we're seeing that, well, there's no harm done just by making friends and getting together.
Fiestas was coming together, bringing you back to religion, brings back people back to it again. There's no need to change fiestas. You just need to educate people on some of their ignorance.
Ain't this sick, guys?
And as for changes, no, I kind of enjoy it the way it is.
Nuevo México, la tierra del encanto, la tierra del...
I think that we can do a better job of being sensitive to each other's traditions and each other's needs.
And I would personally appreciate more honesty in these kinds of celebrations.
No one has ever really attempted to sit across the table and discuss, you know, those kinds of issues. And until that happens, it will continue the way it's going now.
I would leave it up to the Indian to tell me what they would like to do.
We, the Spaniards, together with the Anglo and the Indian, we call this a tricultural city. And I think that we really need to reunite again to bring our customs and our traditions back together.